The ovaries are paired sex glands, or gonads, in females, critical for two primary functions. First, the maturation, storage, and release of germ cells. And second, steroidogenesis, the production of sex hormones. Each ovary is oval, pinkish gray, with a scarred surface during the reproductive years due to ovulation. It measures approximately 3 centimeters in length, 2 centimeters in breadth, and 1 centimeter in thickness. Anatomically, each ovary has two unstable and uterine borders, the mesovarium and free posterior, and two surfaces, medial and lateral. As intraperitoneal structures, the ovaries reside in the ovarian fossa on the lateral pelvic wall in nulliparous women. They're anchored by 3 key ligaments: the mesovarium, connecting to the broad ligament, the infundibulopelvic ligament, attaching to the lateral pelvic wall, and the ovarian ligament, linking to the uterus. This positioning is critical for both function and clinical considerations. Let's now explore the anatomical relations. The ovaries' relations are essential for understanding its surgical and clinical significance. Starting with the mesovarium, or interior border, this fold of peritoneum from the posterior leaf of the broad ligament attaches to the ovary, serving as the entry point for ovarian vessels and nerves into the hilum. The posterior border is free and lies close to the tubal ampulla, separated by peritoneum from critical structures like the ureter and internal iliac artery. The medial surface interacts with the fimbrial part of the fallopian tube, while the lateral surface sits within the ovarian fossa, bordered superiorly by the external iliac vein, posteriorly by the ureter and internal iliac vessels, and laterally by peritoneum separating the obturator vessels and nerves. This intricate positioning underscores the ovary's vulnerability during pelvic surgeries. Next, let's examine its histological structure. The ovary's structure is elegantly divided into an outer cortex and inner medulla, each with distinct roles. The ovary is enveloped by a single layer of cuboidal cells called germinal epithelium. Beneath this lies the cortex, which is thickened by stromal cells forming the tunica albuginea. During the reproductive period from puberty to menopause, the cortex is a dynamic hub studded with follicular structures, the functional units of the ovary. These include primordial follicles, maturing follicles, Graafian follicles, and the corpus luteum, all critical for sex hormone production and ovulation. Atresia of these structures leads to atretic follicles or corpus albicans. The medulla, in contrast, contains loose connective tissue, some smooth muscle, blood vessels, nerves, and a small cluster of Hilus cells, homologous to the interstitial cells of the testes. This histological organization supports the ovary's dual roles. Let's now turn to its vascular and neural supply. The ovary's vascular and neural connections are vital for its function and clinical considerations. The arterial supply comes from the ovarian artery, a branch of the abdominal aorta. Venous drainage occurs through the pampiniform plexus, forming the ovarian veins, which drain into the inferior vena cava on the right and the left renal vein on the left. Notably, some venous blood from the placental site drains into these veins, making them a potential site for thrombolysis in the puerperium. Lymphatics follow the ovarian vessels to the paraortic lymph nodes. The nerve supply, derived from the T10 segment via the sympathetic system along the ovarian artery, makes the ovaries sensitive to manual compression, a point relevant in clinical examinations. This vascular and neural framework supports the ovaries' functions and informs surgical approaches. Let's conclude with its development. Understanding the ovary's embryological origin provides insight into its role in reproduction. The ovary develops from the cortex of the undifferentiated genital ridges by around the 9th week of gestation. Primary germ cells migrate from the dorsal end of the yolk sac to populate this region, setting the stage for ovarian function. This developmental process highlights the ovary's early establishment as a key reproductive organ. To recap, the ovaries are remarkable organs with dual roles in germ cell maturation and steroidogenesis. Their anatomical positioning in the ovarian fossa, supported by ligaments, and their relations to critical pelvic structures make them clinically significant. Histologically, the cortex and medulla house the machinery for ovulation and hormone production, supported by a robust vascular and neural supply. Their embryological origin underscores their foundational role in reproduction. As we move forward in our study of reproductive anatomy, keep these features in mind, as they'll be critical for understanding ovarian pathology and surgical considerations. Thank you for your attention, and I'll see you in the next lecture.